That's right, everybody. It's that time. It's time for another edition of Marilyn's Cafe Society radio show right here on YouTube and Facebook. We're going to get it posted everywhere. Of course, today is Saturday, April the 13th, 2019, and spring is still trying to spring here in the Chicagoland area, but it's going to work itself out. Winter and spring is still in that big battle. In fact, there's reports that we may even see some snow tomorrow. We know it's not going to stick. The ground has warmed up, so spring will get the victory sooner or later. So how are you? How was your week? Wow, I tell you, it was a very interesting week, to say the least, and there's so much to talk about, and we won't be able to talk about it all, but we'll certainly, highlight some of the news events from the week. Just on a personal note, I was able to check off quite a bit on my things to do list and goals and all of that, and I hope that you have been able to do that as well. All right, so we do have a good show in store. We managed to even squeeze in some entertainment news this go round, so I can't wait to share with you on that. All right, on this day in history, are you ready? All right, on this day in history in 1860, the first Pony Express reached Sacramento, California. Now, it was in operation for all of 18 months, and it, of course, reduced the time for messages to travel between the Atlantic and Pacific coast to just about 10 days. Yeah, so the United States of America was trying to work this thing out in terms of how to get messages and letters and packages delivered. And prior to the pony, I guess they walked? I don't know. But lo and behold, by October of 1861, the Pony Express system was replaced by the transcontinental telegraph system. So we made some progress, right? And of course, now we can get our mail messages in a matter of hours, packages in terms of mail and messages via email. We can get it in a matter of minutes, right? Or seconds in some cases. All right. In 1976, on this day in history, in celebration of the United States bicentennial, the Federal Reserve issued the 1976 series of the $2 bill nationwide with the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front and John Trumbull's portrait of the Declaration of Independence on the back. Now, the first use of Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the $2 bill was on the series 1869 United States note. And then the very first $2 note was issued by the federal government in 1862 and featured a portrait of the first Secretary of the Treasury, none other than Alexander Hamilton. How about that one? And on this day in history in 1983, Harold Washington was elected as the first African-American mayor in the city of Chicago. Harold. I remember that. I was just a teenager in the city, just out of high school. All that energy and excitement that was happening in the city of Chicago. Everybody mobilizing, coming together in a sense of community, trying to get that very first African-American in office in the city of Chicago. And it happened. And I tell you, what a celebration and just a great feeling of triumph and unity. And we kind of feel that way now today, right? The city of Chicago just elected the first African-American woman mayor. So again, just a great feeling of celebration. All right, and that completes on this day in history. Now we're going to look at some cafe news, which for the most part is business related. And I do have some important ones I want to share with you. This one, of course, caught my eye, and it's the fact that officials of the group of 20 major economic leaders globally recently announced that our global economic growth has slowed in late last year, starting late last year into the early stage of this year. And it's mainly due to factors that include a turbulent financial market and heightened tensions over trade and interest rates. And of course, one of the bigger problems that has caused this is the trade disputes between the United States and China. But there is some good news. They're saying that they're forecasting the growth to improve in the second half of this year, thanks to interest rate policies from the Federal Reserve and other central banks. So it's all getting worked out. But, in case you've been feeling it, some of us have, been feeling it, observing it. Things are changing. The world is changing right before our eyes. I hope that you are paying attention. Again, the good news is that things will be improving as well. Real quick, I do want to make this note. My love for babies. Sadly, Fisher-Price has recalled sleepers after more than 30 babies have died. Now, the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission said anyone who has purchased a Fisher-Price, what is it called? Rock and Play sleeper should stop using it right away and contact Fisher-Price to return it and to also receive your refund or a voucher. Now, Fisher-Price and the Consumer Protection Safety Commission did not specify how the infants died, but they did say that the deaths occurred after the babies rolled over from their backs to their stomachs or sides while unrestrained. And there was an article that was released in the Consumer Report that stated that some of the infants died from suffocation. Sad story. Oh, my heart goes out to the families of those infants. Deepest sincere condolences. Just a sad, sad story here. But again, Fisher-Price is recalling the Rock and Play sleepers. If you know anyone who recently purchased one, or if you have one, stop using it immediately and contact Fisher-Price so that you can return it and also get your refund or voucher. Oh, all right, moving right along. Let's check the stock markets. It looks like the Dow is up 269.25. They haven't hit that 27,000 mark yet, but they're getting close. The S&P 500 is up 1909, and the NASDAQ is up 36.80. Now, stocks on the move. Things are looking good for Anadarko Petroleum. They're up just under $15. JP Morgan Chase is up just under $5. The Walt Disney Company is also up $13.46, as is PNC Financial Services. They're up just under $4. Things aren't looking so good for Wells Fargo Company. They're down $1.25. The National Oil Well Varco is down $2.46, and Netflix, my goodness, is down $16.51 on the industry, oil industry. They are up 29 cents. Gold is up $1.90, and the euro is up just a fraction of a penny. And that is a look at your business news, people. I'm kind of rushing. If it sounds like I'm rushing, I am, because I've been experiencing some camera issues. But hopefully we'll get this posted by noon so you can check it out, all right? All right, and entertainment news. Yes, we managed to squeeze in some entertainment news today. If you have never heard of this young man, certainly in the last 2 weeks, you now know his name and know who he was. And of course, I'm speaking of Nipsey Hussle. Yeah, he was a hometown hero. He was laid to rest in LA at the Staples Center, the second celebrity to be funeralized there. Of course, we know Michael Jackson was funeralized there at the Staples Center back in 2009. The arena was packed. with some 21,000 fans, which really speaks volumes of how he impacted his community and the world. His close family members and loved ones and friends, of course, doted over him, calling him a persistent community activist, a uniter, a doting father, a protective of his siblings and son, and a persistent rapper. There, just testimony after testimony on all of the philanthropic work that he had achieved there in the LA community, starting with the economic development of the mall area where his clothing store and other businesses were located, and sadly, where he was gunned down on March 31st of this year. All the work that he did with helping to bring to fruition a STEM program project there in the LA community, sort of opening up opportunities for the young people there to learn about the science, technology, engineering, and math fields, and everything that he had in the works and was working on in terms of impacting not only the community in which he was born and raised, but also the world with his marathon brand. And of course, the big message during his celebration of life service was that we all must continue to love each other, unite, and keep the marathon going. So, again, I didn't know a whole lot about him. I was aware of him because, I'm in the business and, and keeping up with what's going on in the world. And so I had heard his name. And, of course, he had been nominated in the Grammys recently for his Victory Lap album. And so, just sounds like a young man who really, really wanted to leave his mark on the world, and he managed to do that. All right. Speaking of another legend, Aretha Franklin. I know you guys have been hearing about this. I talked about it in the past. This Amazing Grace documentary that filmmakers have been working on and trying to get released. Of course, Aretha Franklin was against it for whatever reason. She didn't want it released. In fact, she sued the filmmakers back in 2015 because they, I think, showed it at a film festival or something. But it's basically a documentary of her two sessions in January of 1972 at the New Temple Missionary Baptist Church in Watts section of LA. She was performing. It was a colossal performance, a spiritually moving performance, very little talking in between her songs, and everyone who was in attendance back then talked about how moving it was, and it was captured by this little-known filmmaker by the name of Sidney Pollack. And his reason for filming was to eventually release it. Again, Aretha Franklin was against it. He passed away in 2008, and then Alan Elliott took over and got David Arnold involved to help with some editing. And lo and behold, a few months after her passing, they approached her estate, her family members, with the request to release the film, and were finally given the green light to do so. And so, again, it's being critically acclaimed, receiving 3.5 stars by most movie critics. You can find it at a theater near you. And enjoy it. It's supposed to be a really good film. All right, there's another little film that's being talked about quite a bit, and it is entitled Little. And the reason is because the star of the film is a 14-year-old. In fact, that same 14-year-old is the executive producer of the film. Her name is Marseille Martin. And of course, she shared that she started pitching this idea about 2-3 years ago, I guess when she was just 11 or 12. And finally got the green light when she was 13. They started filming, and here it is. Now, other young people who have impacted the film industry, the big screen, as an actress include Anya Taylor-Joy in the movie The Witch, Amandla Stenberg in the movie The Hate U Give, and Elsie Fisher in the film Eighth Grade. But this young lady, Martin, not only is acting, but she is the boss, the executive producer of the film, and had quite a say in what happened in that film. So right now it's receiving 2.5 to 3 stars by film critics. And yeah, I can't wait to see that one. That's one I will go see. Now, other movies that are doing pretty well include The Best of Enemies. That one is the film that Taraji P. Henson is starring in as a civil rights activist, and Sam Rockwell is a KKK leader, and they are forced to work together. Interesting film, receiving 2.5 to 3 stars so far. Also, the Lego Movie 2, the second part, is receiving 3 stars. And Us, oh my goodness. I was just talking about this film with some co-workers yesterday, Us, and I was just talking about how chicken I am when it comes to scary movies. It's just always been that way. And I would have to see it in the daytime, that's for sure. And I was so glad to hear them agree. They felt the same way. One of them said it even bothers their soul to see scary movies. But it's the follow-up to Get Out, which was a Jordan Peele film. And they're saying that he did a tremendous job on this film. I kind of can't wait to see it, but then again, I can't. All right. So that's what's happening in entertainment news, everybody. I think I checked off everything. All right. So real quick, I just want to run through some commentary on my latest blog, Beautiful Body. I did get some feedback from some folks. You know, which I knew I would. I can't please everybody, right? You know, on the one end, I'm raising the question or provoking thought on some beautiful bodies are handled in society, and especially in the church community. Some people with beautiful bodies, no matter what they put on, it's just hard to hide. And, you know, some folks have a problem when folks show up with these beautiful bodies, not really understanding that, you know, God gave us our bodies, whatever they are. You know, some of us have normal, average bodies. Some of us have less than average bodies. Some of us have these beautiful bodies. And sadly, for African American women especially, for decades and maybe even centuries, we were shamed, you know, because of the uniqueness of our bodies, and made to feel like there was something wrong with our bodies. And I just wanted to address that in the blog, Beautiful Body, not to offend anyone who's been with the show for any extended period of time. Know that if there's ever anything critically said by me, it comes from a place of love, never to cut anybody or demean or reduce anybody, but just from a place of love, and hopefully to provoke thought, you know, to maybe cause you to look at things differently. And so, you know, I wrapped up the blog basically saying, you know, that I think because extremely beautiful bodies may stir up certain feelings in other individuals, that you know, for women in particular, men don't have this issue, but for women in particular, we should try to dress more modestly, you know, to protect ourselves. And obviously, when it comes to fashion, the fashion world and the entertainment world, you know, there's a whole different set of expectations, because, you know, you're in the fashion industry and you're in entertainment, and, you know, you can get away with wearing certain things and putting yourself out there in a certain way, because that's what, that's what you're doing. And so, um, you know, obviously, in that regard, the modest dress may not apply, but for young girls especially, and even adults who see that, when you're in the real world, in real life, there's just certain ways you can't show up to work, you know what I mean, or just go out into the community dressed in a certain way, because while one person in the industry, the entertainment industry, may be able to do that in a performance setting, um, you just can't walk around every day like that. So, that was my point, not to hurt anyone's feelings or make anyone feel bad, but just to, just hopefully give everybody on all sides of the issue um, a more, I guess, critical view of what having a beautiful body um, is like, and what those experiences are. So anyway, I just wanted to just kind of talk a little bit more about that, and just kind of highlight the fact that the entertainment industry is a totally different world from going to church, going to work, just being out and about in the community. And also that again, for some, no matter what they put on, their beautiful bodies is just going to show. And you just have to check yourself in terms of how you view that, and not be so critical and assuming that they are putting themselves out there, because a lot of times, some beauty is just hard to hide. It's like the beautiful sun when it shines. It's just a beautiful sun. There's nothing we can do to hide it, right? All right. So there we have it. Just wanted to say that. All right. I think that's it. I think we're done. Again, I wanted to keep it short because of the technical issues that I'm dealing with today. Hopefully we will get that straightened out, and I will feel comfortable with having guests on, and we'll have, some longer time together on the show. Before I go, I do want to tell you what love is. And love is, on this day, feeling like kids again. Yeah, feeling like kids again. Right? We should always have that youthful, playful spirit about us, right? It just helps keep us young. All right, and let's see, what else do I want to tell you? Remember to check out my social medias. Obviously, the YouTube, Facebook, Marilyn's Cafe Society on Facebook, Marilyn's Cafe Society on YouTube, Maryland'sCafeSociety.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, all of that stuff that you're supposed to do on these social medias. On Twitter, it's Marilyn's Cafe Soch. And am I anywhere else? Yeah, I think, if you go to those places, you'll see other places where you may be able to find me. All right, well, as always, it's been a pleasure and a privilege. Remember, if you don't do anything else this week, be sure that you live, you laugh, and you love. Peace, everybody. Look for the blog. I'll do another one, hopefully by midweek next week. I'm still working on the karaoke moments. It's just been so busy. But we'll get another one posted soon. All right. Have a great week. Peace.